I showed up to Dad's lavish promotion party only to hear, "I owe it all to my daughter. My son never had what it takes." Everyone clapped. Then my stepmother sneered. "Security, remove this man." I stood up, handed him a wrapped box, and said, "From your biggest disappointment." Then I left. When he opened it, he froze. "My name is Daniel Reyes, 31, oldest child, designated helper. Emergency contact when bills screamed louder than people. I fix broken systems for a living. Project manager at a mid-sized software company. I keep calendars, budgets, and fires under control. For years, I tried to do that with my family, too. My father is Victor, storyteller, salesman, the kind of man who can toast a crowd into believing he wrung rain from a stone. My stepmother, Leah, likes things shiny and loud. My sister, Nina, is 22 and used to be glued to my dad's side like a second shadow. My mother remarried and moved 3 states away. We talked, but our timelines rarely line up. I didn't plan to go to the party. It was January, downtown hotel, ballroom with gold chairs, and a stage big enough for a small choir. Dad had just been promoted regional director to executive VP. The invitation wasn't to me. It was to Victor's family, posted in the family group chat with a champagne emoji and a link to a registry for his congrats fund. I read it twice, closed the app, and told myself I was busy. Then Na called the morning of. "Are you coming?" she asked, voice tight. "To a party I wasn't invited to." "You were." Lala said, "You know how to find information." "That was an invite," I said. "Please show for me." I showed up in a charcoal suit with a tie that still held yesterday's coffee smell. The ballroom buzzed. People posed with a banner the size of a garage door. "Congrats, Victor." Like it was a movie premiere. I slipped along the wall and found a seat near the exit. The stage lights went hot and bright. And then I heard my father's voice. "I owe it all to my daughter," he said, pointing toward Nina. "My son never had what it takes." People laughed. People clapped. The band did a 4 second on shimmer like punctuation. Depending on where you were sitting, you might have thought it was a harmless line. I felt it hit my ribs. I stared at the water glass and willed my jaw not to move. Hila's eyes cut across the room and landed on me. Her mouth twitched. "Security," she said to a server loud enough. "Remove this man." I stood before the guard reached me. I picked up the small wrapped box from under my chair, the paper simple, the bow slightly crooked, and walked down the center aisle into the light. Heads turned. My father's smile stuck to his face like tape that had lost its glue. "From your biggest disappointment," I said, and I held the box out. The room went cemetery quiet. I put it in his hands. I didn't wait to see what he did. I turned the carpet, swallowing my steps. Behind me, tape tearing, paper crumpling, then silence stretching too long. Then, my name in the voice I grew up chasing. "Daniel," he said. I kept moving. I didn't start out angry. I started out responsible. When I was 19, Dad said, "You're the practical one. I need your head, not your feelings." He was in the middle of a divorce, then running expenses like a circus. Mortgage, lawyer, business lunches that were apparently essential. I worked 2 campus jobs and still sent him $200 a month because he said, "We're a team." When he fell behind on a credit card, I co-signed a balance transfer. When Nan needed textbooks, I paid the difference. I told myself that's what family means. You fill the gap. "Dan, buddy," Dad would say, "I'll make it right." When I'd ask soon as the new role lands. I'm on the short list. There was always a short list. There was always a soon. By 23, I had a spreadsheet named Ria's Family. Green tabs for obligations, yellow for promises. I gave myself notes like a polite warden. Utilities for Dad's house. $148.23, due 5/12 THS reimburse. I saved screenshots. I saved receipts. I saved voicemails I never planned to use. Leia arrived the summer. I turned 25. She was bright lipstick and heels with red saws. She called me sweetheart when she needed something and kid when she didn't. I tried to welcome her. She gave me a hug that felt like a posed photograph. At dinner once, Leia said, "We're family now and family invest in each other." That's a nice sentence. I said, "What does it cost?" She laughed. "You're funny." A week later, she added herself to the family group chat as house manager. She posted links to Na's enrichment needs, a laptop, a travel abroad deposit, coaching for grad school interviews. Dad added hearts. Nina thanked me privately each time. "I'll pay you back when I can," she wrote once. "It's okay," I wrote back. No rush. I kept rushing. I paid the storage unit that held Dad's old furniture so he wouldn't lose history. I covered an emergency tire replacement after he texted. Stranded. Clients waiting. I wired $1,200 when Yela wrote. Bank issue frozen card. Long story. Can you spot us till Monday? Of course, I said, because my body only knew yes back then. Mom watched from her new city with a kind of careful distance. When I visited, she cut fruit and asked about work and didn't ask about Dad. "I'm proud of you," she said, "but I worry that you mistake endurance for love." "I'm fine," I told her. I wasn't. My savings account grew like a plan under a cup. Every time it sprouted, a request lifted the cup and clipped it. It wasn't just money. It was the way it was spoken around me. At one family barbecue, Dad told a story about closing a deal. "We were 12 hours from losing it," he said. "And then my girl here," he threw an arm around Na, "found a typo in the deck. Saved us." "What about the call you asked me to join?" I said, "I covered the integration questions." Dad waved a hand. "Technical stuff. The clients remember the vision." Later, while I washed dishes, Leia leaned on the doorframe. "Don't be needy," she said softly. "It's unattractive." I stacked plates. "I'm not needy. You always want the gold star." "I want a receipt," I said. "That's different." I kept paying. When Na's semester went sideways, I wrote a check for the housing penalty because Dad's bonus is delayed by red tape. When a medical bill arrived in a white envelope the size of bad news, I put it on my 0% card and paid it down like penance. Then came the little break. Not dramatic. A hairline crack that started to split everything else. I went to open a new line of credit to refinance my own student loans. Denied. High utilization on joint account. The rep said, "I don't have a joint account," I said. He read the last 4 digits. My stomach dropped. That was the balance transfer I co-signed years ago. I'd asked Dad to close it when we paid it down. "Could you read the last few transactions?" I asked. He did. Restaurants, jewelry, a resort fee. I called Dad. "What is this?" "Relax," he said. "We had to float a couple things after Ela's card got flagged. I'll clear it next month." "You said it was closed." "Paperwork glitch." I said nothing for a breath that tasted like pennies. "Close it." I said finally. "Now I'll pay the balance." "Just close it." "Don't be dramatic," he said, annoyed now. "You always make storms out of sprinkles." I closed it. I paid the balance. I stared at my spreadsheet until the numbers blurred into salt. The group chat kept moving. Na's graduation trip. Victor's big Q3. Family is everything. The sentences came decorated with gifts and filtered photos of steak. One night, Nina called crying from her campus. "I can't get Dad," she said. "Can you help?" "My landlord says I'm short on the rent. He thought Dad sent it already." "How short?" "400, I'll send it." "You always do," she whispered. That night, I added a tab to my spreadsheet. Boundaries. The sheet was empty. I left it open, then closed my laptop like that counted as action. By 30, I had paid enough in this month only emergencies to buy a new car. I drove my old sedan instead and watched the check engine light flicker like it apologized. Meanwhile, Dad posted photos of a leased SUV with a caption about rewarding hard work. Leia posted a boomerang of clinking glasses. Nina posted nothing. When the promotion rumor started, Executive VP Dad called me himself. "Your old man did it." "Congrats," I said. "What does it mean?" "More responsibility, bigger team, more visibility, and more money." He laughed. "Always counting." "Somebody has to," I said. His voice softened. "You know, I appreciate everything you've done, right? I couldn't have reached this without everyone. Everyone, I repeated. The invite to the party showed up in the chat a week later. Family, let's celebrate, Leia wrote, then added a line that made my jaw tighten. Dress code elevated. I hovered over the message. I typed, I can't make it. I deleted it. Then Na called the morning of and just said, please. I went, and I heard the sentence everyone else applauded. And Leia told security to remove me. And I walked the aisle with a small box that held a summary of 10 years. Inside, under the paper, was my grandfather's pocket watch, the one Dad had pawned for a temporary cash bump when I was 22. I tracked it down and bought it back last year. Under the watch was a single page for my spreadsheet, a list of dates and amounts, calm and boring, black ink on white paper, totaling $84,216. Beside the total was a note, no balance due. This is my last gift. There was also a second envelope, not for Dad, for the board. Printed emails, timestamped messages. The ones where Dad instructed my work to be presented as consultant assistants under Na's name because clients prefer a family story. He'd forwarded me those accidentally once, and I'd kept them like proof that sanity remembered me. I hadn't planned to send the envelope. I printed it as a dare to myself. The dare won. When I reached the doors of the ballroom, I stopped. I turned back, not to speak, to give myself that one look that seals a decision. Dad stood on stage with the box open, the watch in his palm, the paper trembling at the edges like it had learned fear. Daniel, he said again, microphone live, warmth forced. Come back up here. Let's clear this. Leia hustled to him, smile tight. He's making a scene. She hissed. No one but the first row could hear, but you didn't need sound to read her mouth. A cousin emerged from a crowd and reached for my sleeve. Hey man, he said quietly. Maybe don't do this tonight. I took my arm back. Tonight is the night he picked. Na was at the foot of the stage now, eyes glossy. What's in the letter? She asked. Dad. Nothing, he said too fast. Jokes. Read it. Someone called. Dad chuckled. We don't need to read it. I said loud enough to cut the murmur. He tried to smile big again. He put the microphone stand between us like a fence and said, my son has a sense of humor. He thinks. I took my phone out and clicked a button. The hotel sound system caught the chime of it like an extra instrument. Okay, I said, steady. I'll read. Security lingered near me, unsure. Leia lifted a hand. Escort him. You touch him. Na snapped to the guard, her voice clear and tiny, and finally not a shadow. And I walk. That bought me 30 seconds. I didn't plan to waste. This will be short, I said to the room. You don't know me. That's fine. I'm not here to ruin anything. I'm here to return what's mine and what isn't. I held up my phone. For a decade, I helped cover gaps. That was my choice. I'm not a victim of my own choices. But I won't let history be rewritten while I'm standing in it. I nodded at the paper in Dad's hand. Those are numbers, not emotions. Rent, utilities, tuition, deposits, tires. The watch is my grandfather's. It isn't a bribe or a trap. It's a return. A chuckle from a table near the front. One of Dad's colleagues. I recognized the jaw from LinkedIn. This is uncomfortable, he said. Good, I said. Growth usually is. Leia leaned into her mic. He's overwhelmed. I cut her off with the one thing I had more of than anyone on that stage. Details. May 14th, 2019. I said, email from Vera's to client team looping in Nina. She found the integration fix attached to that email. My deck, my comments, my name stripped from a footer. June 2nd, 2021. Family crisis. Daniel Wire. $1,200. Frozen card. Then photos that week. Cabo. A ripple of discomfort moved through the room like a cold breeze. Dad smiled. Didn't know where to go. He tried the first reaction. Aggression. You're misunderstanding everything, he said through his teeth, Mike catching a bit of spit. After everything I've done, I lifted a hand. No, I said, this is the last time you get to be loud and right at the same time. He flipped to reaction 2. Manipulation. What will happen to us if you torch my reputation? He pleaded, eyes darting to the colleagues, like a stagehand was late with a prop. What about your sister? Nah, is an adult, I said. She doesn't need me to pay in silence for her to eat. He tried the third, humiliation. You always thought differently, he said, going for the wound he'd used since I was 10. You never had the spark. You're jealous of your own father. Jealous, I said, almost laughing. No, exhausted. I took the second envelope from my jacket and set it on the nearest table. I didn't wave it. I didn't threaten. I just placed it like a simple, boring thing. It's addressed to your board, I said. I hope I never have to mail it. I hope tonight is enough. But if your mouth keeps writing stories with my name, they'll need to read the original draft. The room exhaled. Someone clapped once, stopped. The band adjusted their sheet music as if they could score this. Na looked at me. Are you leaving? She whispered. Yes, I said. For good this time. What about me? I looked at her the way I wish someone had looked at me when I was 19. If you ever want help that isn't a secret, call me. If you want money, ask your boss. He's on stage. That landed like a soft hammer. Dad flinched. Ela covered the mic and hissed something that sounded like apologize. I didn't. I turned. This time I made it through the doors. The hallway outside the ballroom smelled like citrus cleaner and too many perfumes trying to win. I stood with my forehead against a cool wall for 20 seconds, counted my breaths, then took the elevator down to the street. On the curb, the January air felt like a rinsed glass. My phone vibrated. Mom's name. I answered. Are you okay? She asked. Yes, I said, surprised to hear the truth in it. What happened? I handed him a watch and a ledger, I said. And a boundary, she laughed, sad and proud at the same time. About time, she said. I went home to my small apartment that had always been clean, but never felt spacious, because my life was crowded with other people's urgency. I made tea. It tasted like the idea of calm. I opened my spreadsheet. I went to the tab named Boundaries. I typed words. No money without a signed plan. No secrets. No group chat ambushes. No pretending jokes don't bruise. If you speak about me, speak to me first. I saved the file. Then I dragged the whole folder into an external drive labeled past and unplugged it. Not to erase, but to put it somewhere that required intention to reopen. The first week was loud. Calls, texts, DM requests from cousins who treated family like a spectator sport. Dad left me a voicemail that started with a sigh and ended with a threat he couched as advice. You don't want to do something you can't undo, he said. Leia texted a paragraph that read like a cease and desist drafted by someone who learned law from TV. Defamation is a real thing, she wrote. We can't let your bitterness destroy what we built. Na sent one line. I'm sorry. I wrote back. I'm not mad at you. I'm done being useful in the dark. I blocked Dad and Leia. I didn't block Na. At work, I kept my head down and my calendar normal. A junior analyst poked her head into my office. Is everything okay? She asked. Everything is finally okay, I said, and I meant it in a way that made my throat sting. 2 weeks later, the room I'd left behind began to wobble. A colleague of Dad's LinkedIn jaw posted a bland leadership is accountability article and tagged no one, but was tagged by everyone. Rumors do what rumors do. The envelope to the board stayed on my desk like a sealed storm. On a Tuesday, Nina showed up at my apartment with a backpack. She stood in the hall like a kid meeting a principal. I'm not here for money, she said before I could ask. I'm here because Dad told HR I was the brains. They want me to present next quarter. He said I should make it personal and tell a story. And can you? I asked without stealing someone else's work. She winced. No, she said. I mean, I can work, but I can't lie. Good. I said, then you're already ahead. She came in. She sat on my couch and wrapped both hands around a mug even though the tea was too hot. He said, you try to turn me against him. She said, I won't. I said, I'll help you stand up without needing to push him down. We spent the evening building slides, not my old deck. New slides, her own. About her actual work. We rehearsed till her voice stopped reaching for apology. When she left, she hugged me hard. "You always had what it takes," she said into my shoulder, almost laughing at the sentence as she wrecked it and fixed it at once. Dad called her 9 times that week. She sent each call to voicemail and wrote down what she wanted to say, and then didn't say it. She asked me if that was cowardice. I told her it was practice. Without my monthly temporary spots, Dad's math started showing. Yayla's post shifted from restaurants to recipes. That would have been fine if it had come with self-awareness. It didn't. It came with a group email to extended family accusing me of unfair pressure. I didn't respond. People who wanted truth called me. I told it without theater. 3 weeks after the party, HR emailed Nina because someone had forwarded my envelope anyway, not me. Turns out details don't live quietly when people are busy stepping on them. HR asked questions. Dad answered loudly. Yayla emailed me, "Fix this." I didn't. The next month, Dad went on leave to focus on family. The announcement tried to sound like a vacation. The comments under it did not. I didn't cheer. I didn't post. I made dinner and ate it at my table and realized I wasn't clenching my jaw. Bills still came. Mine on time, ordinary kind. I paid them like a person, not a lifeline. My savings started to look like a sky instead of a narrow hallway. I booked a weekend trip. I'd postponed 3 times and sent Mom a photo of the ocean. She texted back a string of hearts that looked like punctuation. I finally understood. Na moved into a small apartment with 2 roommates who were kind and loud and left encouraging notes on the fridge. She called me to ask if I owned a drill. I did. I came by on a Saturday and hung shelves. We argued about where the spice rack should go like normal siblings in a comedy that doesn't have a tragedy under it. "Do you think he'll call you again?" she asked as we stood on her balcony watching the city try to be evening without quite getting there. "He might," I said, "but he no longer has my number." She laughed. "That's a flex." "It's a filter," I said. A cousin sent me a link to a private Facebook post where Ela wrote a paragraph about family betrayal. I didn't click. I watered my plant instead. The plant didn't clap or whisper or ask me for money. It just stayed green because I fed it. That felt like the whole lesson. Ridiculous and obvious and true. When the company finally posted Dad's replacement, a woman who had been doing the work anyway, my phone stayed quiet. Na sent me a screenshot of the announcement with a small smiley face under it. I sent back congrats to her. Then I went for a run and found myself smiling halfway through for no reason I could name except oxygen and space. One afternoon, my doorbell rang through the peephole. My father. He stood with his shoulders arranged into humility, an expression I'd never seen him practice long enough to make believable. I opened the door because I wanted to end the story while standing up. "Daniel," he said, "can we talk?" "We can stand," I said, not moving from the doorway. He looked thinner. Or maybe the volume of his voice had been doing half the work all along. "I made mistakes," he said. "But you didn't have to go nuclear." "I didn't," I said. "I left a room." "You sent." "I didn't send anything," I said. Information dislikes vacuum. He stared past me into my living room like a man peering into a shop he couldn't afford. "I miss my son," he said, finally soft. "I miss a father," I said. "We're even." He swallowed. "What do you want?" "I don't want," I said. "I have peace, a life, boundaries." He nodded like he was at least good at the mime of acceptance. "And the watch?" he asked. "It's yours," I said. "It always was." I returned it because I didn't want to carry your pawns anymore. He flinched, then tried to smile. "Clever." "True," I said. He asked if he could hug me. I said no. He asked if he could call me next week. I said he could email me if it concerned Nina's health or a funeral. He exhaled like I had hit him. Maybe I had. He left. When the elevator doors closed on him, I laid down on my rug and stared at the ceiling fan, turning a steady circle. I texted Na. He came by. "He's okay," she wrote back. "So are you." For the first time in a long time, that sentence didn't feel like a negotiation. It felt like a report. A month after everything, I sat on a park bench with a notebook I didn't plan to show anyone. I wrote a list, not of payments, of promises to myself. I won't buy admission to rooms where I'm also the punchline. I won't confuse silence with grace. I won't label panic duty. I won't fund disrespect. I won't be the ghost writer of someone else's legend. I closed the notebook and watched a kid learn how to throw a frisbee badly, and then better. A dog kept retrieving it like the world was perfect. It felt like a small cruelty that joy looks the same before and after you draw a line, but also like a relief. The sky doesn't flinch when you say no. People ask me later what was in the box. Like the object mattered more than the moment. I tell them the truth. A watch, a ledger, and an ending. The watch was not a test. It was a return. The ledger was not revenge. It was clarity. The ending wasn't dramatic in my body. It was quiet. It felt like discovering a door had been unlocked the whole time. My father will keep telling stories. That's what he does. Some people will clap out of habit. Some will stop. That belongs to them. What belongs to me is the distance I keep and the way I speak to myself when rooms get loud. Na sent me a photo yesterday of her standing by a whiteboard at work. Marker in hand, mouth open mid-sentence. Her caption said, "Didn't faint." Mine back said, "Proud." She wrote, "Dinner this week." I said yes and didn't check my calendar because I wanted my life to bend around something that wasn't an emergency for once. I still have the envelope to the board sealed and heavy like a storm that stayed offshore. I hope can stay in a drawer forever. Not because I'm scared to mail it, but because I prefer when consequences come from the right direction and not for me. If they don't, I know where the post office is. People love a moral, so here's mine. Simple enough to fit on a sticky note. I don't owe anyone my ruin to prove I'm loyal. I don't owe anyone my savings to prove I'm generous. I don't owe anyone my quiet to prove I'm mature. What I owe is to myself not to let anyone spin me without my consent. If that makes me a disappointment, fine. I can live with that. In fact, I'm living with it quite easily. Because the opposite of being someone's biggest disappointment isn't being their pride. It's being your own person. And that finally is expensive in exactly the right ways.